The Elementalist is a tower that you get from beating hard mode Operation Ice. I believe you can also buy it in a Game Pass for, I think, 799? Yeah, 799 Robux. Its initial place talent cost is 2,000. It has a placement limit of 5. Fire rate is 0.6, its range is 12, its damage is 3. The fire rate, it's a burst tower. No, its base fire rate is 0.2, but 0.6 is the burst cooldown, so actually it's better than what I expected here. And it has 2 modes that you can switch between. Now, right off the bat, the difference between Frost and Fire is Frost obviously slows down enemies, as you can see here, and then the Fire burns enemies, which deals more damage. You can actually have a combination of Fire and Frost because the developers have recently updated it, not in this update, in a previous update, where Frost and Fires, they can be mixed with each other without Fire melting the Frost. So enemies can be slowed down while being burnt, which makes no sense, but are we complaining? Probably not. Frost mode. It has a slowdown per hit of 5, and its max slowdown is 45%. So you need 7 shots from the Elementalist for it to reach max cooldown of 45%. Quite achievable, but the burst count is 3. Its slowdown is 2 seconds, and therefore its DPS is 8.79 for cost efficiency of 228. However, Fire, it's basically the same stats as Frost mode, except burn damage is 5, so it deals more damage, and deals quite well within range, as you can see here. Its burst cooldown is 0.6, same as the Frost mode. Its burn tick, however, is 0.5, its range is 12, burn time is 2, therefore total elapsed damage of 20, therefore its DPS compared to the Frost mode is 10 higher for 18.79, and its cost efficiency is therefore 106.44. Which is quite good, I must say, for a tower that's expensive. Having cost efficiency of like nearly only 100, that's really good. Obviously, it can't slow down an enemy. Obviously, the only limit being that there's only 5 of them. You can't have more than that. Shame, but oh well. Now, bearing in mind the burn damage can penetrate leads, but do bearing in mind that it doesn't show up here. It's the fire damage only that penetrates leads, not the non-burn damage element. The placement footprint is also the same size as any other tower, barring the melee tower or larger footprint towers like the turret or the DJ booth. Moving on to level 1 now, its range increased from 12 to 15. Damage for both Frost and Fire, the non-burn damage element of Fire, increased from 3 to 5. The burst size increases from 3 to 4. The Frost percent per hit increases from 5 to 7.5, while the max slowdown is still remains at 45, so you only require 5 hits to reach max slowdown instead of 7 before. And the Fire, its duration has increased from 2 to 3, and its burn damage has increased from 5 to 8. For Frost mode, DPS is 16.23 for a cost efficiency of 215, which is lower cost efficiency than level 0, and lower cost efficiency is better. However, for Fire mode, its DPS is now 32.23, which I must say, for a tower that's 4,500 or 3,500, it's quite good. I think it's quite good. Cost efficiency of 108.59. In comparison, something like the Accelerator, costing 5,000, it has a DPS of 26.2. The Elementalist has a higher DPS than the Accelerator. Now, Accelerator isn't considered the best tower for DPS anymore, but then again, it does have a placement limit of 8, while this only has a placement limit of 5. And do bearing in mind that if an enemy has no burn, such as the Molten, or the Molten Boss, or the Lava, then it doesn't get the additional burn damage from this. So Molten mode, yeah, might as well swap out to the Frost and you'll get less DPS anyway, but who cares, it's, you know. But 32.23 DPS, really good, must say. As for level 2, gains hidden detection here. Its range has increased from 15 to 17. Its damage, non-burn element, has increased from 5 to 10, a non-frost element. The Frost, the max chill has increased from 45 to 50. The Fire, its burn duration has increased from 3 to 4, and it gains 2 abilities here. So the Ice Turret, it has a damage of 10, cooldown of 0.45, duration of 40 seconds, chill percentage of 25%, max shield of 50%, and can freeze. So it's like the Sentry, except the Sentry has health. This doesn't have health. It just has a duration, and its ability is 25 seconds, while its duration is what? 40 seconds. So basically, you can have this in the entirety of the thing minus about 5 seconds. You just have to remember to actually use it all the time. I think that's quite fair. Now, you can only use the Ice Turret when it's not in Fire mode. So obviously, Frost is Frost. Fire, you'll get the Heat Wave, which I'll get to set in later. As you can see, It slows down enemies quite well. I wouldn't say it's the best. I wouldn't say it's something like, I don't know, the Electroshocker levels of good, but it's quite decent for a freezing tower. Now, of course, fire can stack with ice, which makes no sense, but obviously. Also at this level, you get the heat wave ability. So again, frost, the ice cannon ability or ice turret ability, or you can have the heat wave ability. It depends on which mode you go in. So fire, it has a damage of 150, range of 12.5, burn duration of 5 seconds, tick rate of 0.5 seconds, burn damage of 10, and knockback of 20. This actually knocks back. We just remontaded it. We just borrowed the stomp from bosses. Now because it's a separate ability, it has a separate keybind, so that's going to get quite confusing. Knockback, quite good. I believe if an enemy has no stun, then it can't knock them back, or knock them back as much, and there's like a limit to how much an enemy can be knocked back by. I don't know if it can be able to be stacked by, say, the DJ booth, the knockback from the DJ booth, nor the, I think, the Mercenary base in terms of the Riot Guard or the Brawler. I suppose it can, but you can't just say, like, spam this all the time. Also seems to be pretty weak against fast enemies, as one would expect. Total cost, by the way, is 7,500. In Frost mode, damage is 10, burst size 4, 0.2, fire rate, 0.6, cooldown. Max slowdown is 50, so you only get 5% more, even though slowdown hasn't increased, so you only need 6 now. Fair, I guess. DPS is now 32.48, which is on par with what the fire was at level 1, for a cost efficiency of 230, which is fairly standard for the previous levels for Frost mode. Fire mode, however, its DPS has increased to 48.48, and its cost efficiency has increased massively, which is not a good thing, to 154.7. To be fair, that's not too bad, especially when you combine it with the abilities, and like the Ice Cannon ability for the Frost mode. Bearing in mind that this is its own separate thing as not being included in DPS, its DPS of the Ice Turret is 21.83. Combine that with the level 2 Frost mode for about 55 DPS, that's nearly on par with, that's higher than Fire mode without the ability, so seems quite good if you include the turret. Again, its range seems quite tiny, I can't lie, and like also it seems to be glitched. Why is the range circle down there, and why isn't it shooting like out here? Kind of glitch, but then it doesn't seem glitched actually. No, never mind. It's just range circles all the way down here. Anyways, the heat wave, it's the burn DPS. So in total, if you have the ability DPS, if you combine the like the cooldown plus the damage plus only hitting one enemy, its ability DPS is 3.75, but overall the burn DPS is 20. It gets complicated, I know, comparing this. Now, as for level 3, $8,000 for a total cost of 15,500. Fire rate has decreased from 0.6 to 0.5. Damage has increased from 10 to 12. That's for non-burst, non-fire, non-ice cannon, non-shockwave, or heat wave. The burst size increased from 4 to 5. Now, frost, chill percentage hit has increased from 7.5 to 10, so you only need 5 to reach max cooldown. Fire is decreased from 4 to 2. Okay, its burn damage has increased from 8 to 10, but its tick rate has decreased from 0.5 to 0.25. So overall, that is a buff. That is an upgrade to the fire. Additionally, the ice turret damage has increased from 10 to 20, and its cooldown has decreased from 0.45 to 0.35. That's the fire rate. For heat wave, the damage has increased from 150 to 250. Range has increased from 12.5 to 13.5. Burn damage has increased from 10 to 15. Knockback has increased from 20 to 22.5. Now, in terms of frost mode, this means that Frost Elementalist has increased, has a DPS of 44.78, which isn't too great. You compare it to the 32.48 before. And its cost efficiency has increased dramatically from 230 to 346. Not great. But then again, you have the Ice Turret. Ice Turret has a DPS of 55.87, so it's about 100... It's like 90... It is basically 100. So, therefore, its cost efficiency is about 155, which actually is not that bad, but then again, there's 5 of them, so... As for Fire mode, its DPS is now 84.78, and its cost efficiency is therefore 182.83, which again is a dramatic increase from, it's not a dramatic increase from level 2, which is 154, but it is a kind of dramatic increase from level 1, which is 108. Then the heat wave, its ability DPS is 6.25, but overall its burned is 30 DPS. Again, it just depends on if you can get a good heat wave and damage a load of enemies, because it can wipe out quite a lot of enemies, it seems like, and deal quite a bit of damage. It's over time, so it won't immediately do that, and so if like the break, for example, it won't keep the burn. Right, as for level 4, the last level, 15,000, the fire rate has decreased from 0.5 to 0.4, damage has increased from 12 to 15, the burst has increased from 5 to 7, and its burst cooldown has decreased from 0.2 to 0.125. Meanwhile, for the frost mode, shield percentage on hit has increased from 10 to 12.5, and max shields increased from 50 to 60. So you'll need, why is it like this? You'll need 5. You still need 5 to hit. Actually, it doesn't seem like you can freeze enemies with this. Okay. Meanwhile, for the fire, its burn duration has increased from 2 to 4. Okay. Like the Pyromancer upgrade. It seems like they've just translocated some of these stats from, say, the Freezer, the Soldier, and like the Pyromancer onto an Event Tower. So it's more very, very gimmicky. But it seems fair with the Ice Turret, which has increased from 20 to 30, 0.35 to 0.3 for cooldown. Chill percentage on hits has increased from 25 to 30, and its max shield has increased from 50 to 60. So it only requires 2 hits to freeze enemies, which seems quite OP, I can't lie. Also, the turrets, I forgot to mention this, the turrets actually act like towers, as in you can't place them right next to the tower, which unlike the sentry for the engineer. Meanwhile, for the heat wave ability, it's increased from 250 to 400. The range has increased from 13.5 to 15. Burn damage has increased from 15 to 20, and knockback has increased from 22.5 to 25. Now, overall, for Frost mode, this means a DPS of 87.06 for 350 cost efficiency. Okay, quite bad. But then if you combine it with the Ice Turret, which, bearing in mind, you only have like 5 seconds if you're really lucky that you don't have the Ice Turret ability, is 97.4. Combine that with the 87.06, that's about 180. So yeah, that's not too bad. That's about 180 or 200-ish cost efficiency. It's not too bad for a $30,000 tower. Meanwhile, for fire mode, its DPS is 127.06 for a cost efficiency of 240. The heat wave DPS, if you were to spam it immediately, is 10. Burn DPS is 40 overall. I don't know. Is fire mode better than... certainly early on, I think fire mode is better than ice mode, but then it seems like later on, especially when you get the ice turret, the frost mode is better than the fire mode, especially because it slows down enemies, so it becomes therefore a support tower of some kind. I mean, the only problem with this is, since it acts like an actual tower, you need to find space for it, but then again, it can't be as close. You can stack turrets on top of each other, but you can't stack them close to towers. It's like a dead zone range. Also, its range is tiny. 10? Bearing in mind it can't be boosted by the DJ booth of some... I mean, yeah, it's good. As you can see, it's faring quite well with breakers. So, with the Elementalist overall, I think it's a very gimmicky tower. I want to say it's... It's like an average event tower, I must say. It has like a very gimmick. It has a gimmick and it has a niche. Pretty standard event tower, if you say so. It can swap between 2 things, and so it deserves the elemental part of its name. But again, is it the best of the best? No. Event towers aren't usually the best of the best, just for balancing purposes. Otherwise, you get a case for like the Gladiator, where people just want it. Like the Elementalist here, it can't freeze enemies, but I mean, whip out an ice turret and it does. Then again, ice turret, I mean, it is invincible, yeah, but it also has, I mean, there's not really any downsides to using the ice turret compared to like the sentry. The sentry's like, yeah, it's basically nearly impervious, but I guess stomps delete it. Here it doesn't. So, actually, it might get stunned. So, as it turns out, the Patient Zero can actually target units, and so can every other boss that damages units. It turns out if there is a unit here and a boss were to target it, it would destroy it completely. It's like it has 1 health. It's like it's really, really fragile. So when I said that it's better than the sentries in terms of health, I'm wrong. It's like you pretend like the turrets have like 1 health or something. So like the Gravedigger would be able to wipe out the ice turrets. I forgot if it has a ability that stuns. Yeah, any hit to the sentry or the turret, it just dies. It has 1 health. It basically has 1 health. Why have a bar if it only just has 1? You might as well just show like with the 1 health. Then again, it's not affected by any debuff, so that's one benefit. Then again, it's not attacking. Why aren't you attacking? Oh, it's not in range, that's why. Again, you're weak. The ice turret's so weak. It's a tower that exists. It's got a niche. Yeah, that's it.